June 16, 1890. The Quebec Daily Mercury, Quebec, Canada. Defying Superstition. Last year, an organization was started in London known as the 13 Club, the object of which is to discourage belief in the ridiculous superstitions and omens which prevail in all ranks of society. The first annual dinner was recently held. A ladder was placed across the doorway leading to the dining room, and the knives and forks on the table were crossed. The members meet on the 13th day of each month, when papers are read on the superstitions of all countries. The menu card was illustrated in a humorous style by a member of the club, and the toast list contained more or less appropriate scraps from Shakespeare. Letters were read from Mr. Henry Irving, Mr. Rider Haggard, Mr. Oscar Wilde, and Mr. James Payn. Mr. Oscar Wilde wrote, "I love superstitions. They are the color element of thought and imagination. They are the opponents of common sense, as common sense is the enemy of romance. The aim of your society seems to me to be dreadful. Leave us some unreality. Don't make us too offensively sane. I love dining out, but with a society with so wicked an object as yours, I cannot dine. I regret it. I am sure you will all be charming, but I could not come, though 13 is a lucky number." Mr. Henry Irving wrote, "It would give me great pleasure to drink with the club. Confusion to all old wives' fables." April 21, 1892. The Evening Telegraph, Providence, Rhode Island. Page 13. Queer Superstitions. The 13 Club of New York, their sworn foe, a defiance of beliefs as to the origin of human woes. Well-known people have banded themselves together. On Friday evening, January 13, 1882, at 13 minutes after 8 o'clock, in room 13 of Knickerbocker Cottage, 454 6th Avenue, New York, one of the old-time hostelries of the metropolis, 13 gentlemen sat down to dinner, and then and there organized a club having for its object the uprooting of the ancient superstition that the day and the number 13 are fraught with evil. Curiously, in the name of the host and founder of the club, William Fowler, are 13 letters. There are 13 letters in the name Knickerbocker. The numbers 454 make 13, and they also comprise the number of letters in City of New York. The dinner consisted of 13 courses, and each man drank out of 13 bottles of wine. Of the original members, 11 are alive, and 2 did not die until 6 years afterward. It is worthy of note, however, that at this first feast, it was necessary to lock the doors in order to sustain the courage of the party. They were called cranks, iconoclasts, and Don Quixotes fighting imaginary windmills, and other uncomplimentary names. But the club grew from 13 members in January 1882 until it reached a membership of 13 times 13 in 1885, 26 times 13 in 1886, and 100 times 13, the limit decided upon, in 1889. It now numbers upon its roll some of the most distinguished men in the country, including President Harrison, ex-President Grover Cleveland, the late ex-President Chester A. Arthur, governors of states, United States senators, chief justices, statesmen, clergymen, editors, and hundreds of other men of high and low degree. The initiation fee is 113 cents, the nominal dues 13 cents a month, and the dinners, always held on the 13th of the month, bring together as merry a lot of philosophers and storytellers as ever made right angles with their legs under the mahogany and kept people around them in a state of interesting agitation. In truth, it may be rightly designated an anti-calamity croaker society, the object of which is to make a man ashamed to acknowledge that he cannot rise superior to the ordinary superstitions of the age. And yet, there is an exception to every rule. The story is told even of Captain Fowler, the founder of the 13 Club, that on the occasion of one of the dinners, seeing a ladder which some practical joker had suspended over the entrance to the banquet room, he quietly excused himself from the leadership of the procession of guests about to pass under it, and, as fast as he could take his ponderous 340 pounds of avoirdupois, moved around and entered by another door. The latter was too much for him. There may be much good in the purpose of the club, but since the days of the Witch of Endor, superstitions have prevailed, and they are likely to continue in spite of the most conscientious missionary work as long as men subordinate their minds to the follies of the imagination. Felix G. de Fontaine.